Hi everyone, so this is my second vlog and you'll notice that there's a dramatic improvement in my voice since last time, and it's actually come back and I'm feeling better. So this vlog is all about my personal health and fitness journey and the experiences that I've been through to get to where I am now. I think the main thing to point out is that I haven't always been into health and fitness, I haven't always been in good shape, and I've made a lot of mistakes. So I think it's easy for everyone to take things at face value how they are now. People presume that I've always looked like this or I've always been like this, and I've not. I didn't always train, I didn't always eat very healthily, and I haven't always been happy or comfortable in my own skin. So it's key to point out that my journey has not been straightforward at all. I've made loads of mistakes, but I do come across a lot of girls in the industry that have had the same sort of experiences, and it's quite common, and that's what I want to help women do, is get to their goal in a much quicker and much more positive way than me. I learned the hard way. I have to always learn the hard way, and I have to always make the mistakes myself before I'll actually learn from them. So yeah. So the height of my unhappiness really came from when I was probably at my unhealthiest. If you've followed me for a while, you'll know I've never been massively overweight. I think the biggest I've probably ever been is about a size 12 to 14. But nobody really knew that I was so unhappy or so uncomfortable in my own skin. And that was simply because I never let anybody know. I pretended that I was happy. I pretended that I was fine with how I looked. I would dress so that it kind of flattered my shape and hid the things that I wanted to hide, such as my stomach. I had a really bad relationship with my stomach for some reason, and I felt bloated all the time. I felt insecure. I had low self-esteem, and yeah, I kind of kept it all bottled up. I would pretend I didn't care. I would pretend I didn't care about eating healthy. Life's too short to eat healthy would be probably one thing I would say, and just general things like that. And I basically just made excuses to avoid actually sorting myself out, sorting my diet out, and making myself feel and look better. And the biggest thing for me was, and it might sound bizarre, but it was going to sleep on my side, like lying on my side. I hated how my stomach felt. I could feel it. It was just in the way. And I always dreamt of having a flat stomach. And I think that was the biggest thing for me when I got into fitness. All I wanted was abs. I was obsessed with getting abs. And that kind of resorted to my initial dieting training phase. So before I started training, I dieted, yo-yo dieted. I tried all sorts of diets. I did shake diets. I did a renowned juice diet, which was 2 shakes a day and had one solid meal. I starved and drank coffee. I tried everything. And then when I actually started training, I convinced myself that carbs were the enemy and that I needed to do cardio. And I did cardio excessively and obsessively. So when I started training properly, I was very, very obsessive. I cut myself off from quite a lot of people because I simply was sort of destroying myself, and I thought that I was doing it for my own benefit. So I wouldn't eat any carbs. So I developed quite an unhealthy eating disorder. I just would basically not eat enough at all to fuel what I was doing. I would do cardio twice a day. I would spin in the morning for 45 minutes. I would go and run for half an hour to an hour every single day. I would weight train. I would fit in other classes around that. And I would not eat any carbs. Even when I had cheat meals or treats or I went out for food, I would always avoid eating carbs in that meal. It would always just be protein and fats. I'd have maybe a mouthful of rice just so it looked like I was eating it. And at the time, I genuinely didn't realise that there was anything wrong with what I was doing. I was also modelling, so the obsession to get smaller and smaller and smaller was very, very bad at the time. And I ended up, at my lightest, I was about 7 stone 12. And I'm 5'8", so that's quite light. And looking back on pictures, I was very, very scarily thin, and people would tell me, and I refused to accept it. And in my eyes, I could afford to lose half a stone, and still look healthy. Which now, looking at that, it worries me that I ever thought like that. And although people tried to tell me, I was just oblivious, and it was quite a dark time for me. I thought that the people that were trying to help me were trying to sabotage my training, were trying to sabotage my diet. They were jealous. They just didn't get it. And that made me cut people off even more. And then I realised, probably after a few months, that the changes that I wanted, which were to gain muscle, to gain shape, I wanted bigger legs, I wanted a bigger bum, and I just wanted to have some sort of muscle, and the changes weren't happening. And then after a few months of training, I obviously started to realise that maybe I wasn't eating right, or maybe I wasn't eating enough, and people around me were telling me. And I joined a bodybuilding style gym, and the owner of that gym actually helped me with my diet, and that led to me eating a lot better. I had to force carbs in. Some days I would still refuse to eat them, and I found it very difficult to put the weight on and see the weight go on and not stress about it and not overthink it and panic that I was just getting fat. I was losing my abs, and yeah, I was a little bit crazy. So I then decided I wanted to compete, and I was recommended to go to a coach, and that coach put me on again, no carbs. And although I kind of had educated myself that I needed them, I thought, well, they clearly know what they're doing. I'm just going to listen. Like, I'm paying someone to coach me and get me ready for a show, and surely prep's supposed to be hard. So through my lack of knowledge and lack of education at the time, I prepped on absolutely zero carbs, and it didn't work very well for me at all. I ended up very, very small. If you've seen some of my competition pictures from my first ever show, I looked like a skeleton in a bikini, and I lost muscle. I lost a lot of my shape, and I basically dieted my body away. I was doing cardio, I was training twice a day, and at one point I think I was on about 463 calories a day. And that also scares me when I look back. But since then, I've obviously learned a lot. I've got a new coach now, and I've worked with him for just over a year. That's Josh McHale. And we have worked together very, very well. My diet's completely changed. I eat carbs in all my meals. I eat a good balanced diet of protein, carbs and fats. And where I'm at now, it's taken a long time, but I know how to train. I know how to eat. I know how my body works. I know my body a lot better than I ever have. And I can finally say I am actually happy and comfortable in my skin for the first time ever. So I really hope that this has given everyone some sort of insight into how long it actually takes to transform your body. It's never going to be an overnight process, and I think that's what people really need to realise, is that it takes hard work, it takes dedication, it takes patience above all else.